Welcome to the iPhoneography Podcast. I'm Greg McMillan, and we have yet another guest tonight. I'm just loving this. Ever since we've asked people to come on the show, or if they want to come on the show, this is the third show in a row that we've had a guest. So that's excellent. Uh, I will start by bringing in Dwight Broman. Hey, Dwight.
Hey guys, gals, how's everybody doing?
And Mr. Dave Podner. Hi, Dave.
Evening or afternoon or late at night or happy
Or
birthday,
whatever
Craig.
it is, wherever you are.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this is good. So our guest is somebody that I've known through texting, I guess, for quite a few years now. And this is actually the first time we've met, albeit not in person, but he's been following the show since back in the Tiny Shutter days. So he's no stranger to the show, and we are so glad to have him on. And so let's bring him in now. It's Chris Cook. Hi, Chris.
Hey guys,
Hey
it's nice
Chris.
to see put faces to the voices. This is awesome.
Yeah,
Good to have you.
this is really good. So what we usually do when we have a guest, Chris, as you probably know, is just get you to just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself in a tweet. So like, you can go a little over 140 characters, but I mean, just kind of give us an idea of who you are and what you do.
Sure. I'm a mid 40s teacher with a young family who fell in love with photography back in the mid 2000s. I was a big follower of Philip Bloom when all of those. He was using all those cameras to shoot the video, and then somewhere along the way, just was going back and forth between iPhone and the big cameras, and within the last year, I've been iPhone only, so it's been great.
Oh yeah, that's cool. So when we put the word out for people to come on, you sent me a message and said that you'd like to talk about printing. And I think that, and I've often heard this said, and I know a buddy of mine in town here lives by this, that an image isn't a photograph until it's printed. And I kind of think he could be right. Now, we always call our pictures photos, whether it's a digital or a print. And I think there's something to that, because photography, when it first started out, uh, they were photographs because they were always printed on paper. Back in those days, I mean, you had an image of what you took on whether it's a plate or glass plate or excuse me, or a negative film or whatever it was. But then when it was printed, it became a photo. So we're going to talk a little bit about photos, about printing, and Chris has some examples of pictures that he's had printed. Now we're not going to show you photos of the pictures of the prints because I mean you'll get a better idea of what the picture was looking at it, in the digital file like we always do. But what we're going to do is kind of talk about why he chose to print these and how he chose to print them and maybe what the workflow was type of thing and why we should print photos. So uh let's do a quick roundtable here. How much do you guys print? And if we don't print much, it's okay because I know I'm kind of limited in my printing, but um I mean, okay, so I'll start with that. I don't print a whole lot. I have lots of pictures on my walls in the house, and I mean, how many can you possibly have, right? But if somebody needs a print from me, then I'll definitely get it printed. This one back on the wall behind me here is an X-Pan ratio print of a waterfall, frozen waterfall that I had done, um, and it didn't cost me a nickel. So that's why I got it done. But otherwise, I don't print unless it's really needed. So, but what about you, Dwight? How often do you print?
I don't print at all. That's why I'm really excited about this episode. I don't know where to start. I don't know how to get my photos ready for a printer. I don't know what printer to get. So I'm really excited. I've never printed my photos. Well, I take that back. I sent 2 photos to Walgreens, and I mean, they didn't look that great. So I'm really looking forward to this episode to try to learn something.
Yeah. And I think that's the best way to see how good your work is to print it, because it looks so much different than it does, on screen, right? What about you, Dave? Have you gotten any prints at all, or?
And recently, very occasionally on our printer downstairs, it's just an inkjet printer that has photo settings on it. And it can do, I think, 4x6 inch prints or smaller. Like they're small. And it turns out okay. It's not great. It's not, photo lab quality, but it's nice if you want to make a photo and print out something. In terms of large amount of prints or anything larger, for our niece's wedding 10, 11 years ago, we did the photography then, not on iPhones. And we printed out there, including we did one print on canvas, and that was done through Sam's Club. And honestly, they do have you can walk in and do their, print right there, the 1 hour photo or their instant. But the canvas was something they sent out to another processor to do that. And that turned out pretty good, actually.
Yeah. Well, now we're going to get to the guy who's really into printing. You kind of alluded to me, Chris, that you've been really enjoying this whole concept and process of printing. So let's start with how you got into that.
Yeah, sure. This is something that's been new within the last couple of years for me. I think previous to this, there's always a few barriers. The first one is I want to print at home, but the cost of printing, as you know, with ink and all the rest of it, it seems like a huge barrier. So that was always something that kind of made me avoid that part of the process. And then, of course, in the early iPhone days, I'd take a great picture thinking that I wouldn't be able to print it in anything substantial in terms of size. So it was a couple of years ago when I decided, I want to try to start printing a little bit, and used a friend's printer. And then about a year and a half ago, said, you know what, I enjoy this process so much, I've got to get one for myself. And I ended up doing a bunch of research and finding something that I would think fit between, giving me really good quality, but also being somewhat economical on ink costs and that sort of thing. And now I've got 2 of them, one at school where I run a maker space, and one at home now. That's how great this printer is.
Cool. That's where this one came from. It was a makerspace in town here.
Oh,
yeah, and that's, I don't know if you guys have that in the States. Like
I don't even know what a maker's space is.
So for in town here, for here, it's an old elementary school that's been converted into what they call a makerspace, and they've got a wood shop in there. They've got die cutting. They've got a photography room. They've got all these different places where you can do all these different things, and you can pay like a pretty reasonable monthly fee to have full access to it. And there's probably, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment in there.
Oh, that's nice.
That you can take advantage of. So is that pretty much how it works for your area there, Chris?
We actually have a makerspace that was built in the public school that I work at. So it's a large room, and I teach out of that room. There's a 3D printer. We are heavily into like Lego robotics and that sort of thing, Cricut cutters. But printing is something that it offers so many different spaces in terms of utility. We're doing everything from printing, using the printer and then putting it onto shirts, right down to photography, to Cricut cutting. It goes beyond just the photograph, I would say.
Oh, neat.
Yep.
Greg, I would say, I know our local library has, I don't know if I know it's not as extensive, as obviously as Chris's school is. But I know our local library does have a makerspace equivalent in their basement
Oh, yeah.
where, 3D printing, things, especially for the community. And since it's a public library, it's available at no charge.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
So Jeff Donald, who was our guest on our last show, said in the Clearwater Library, there's a makerspace in there. So I think these things are starting to pop up and become a little more popular, which is really good. So what do you have for printers then at home, Chris?
I use an Epson ET8550. It's an older printer. It was released 2019, 2020, but I purchased it brand new within the last year, so it hasn't been updated. And the reason I went with that model is because of the quality that you get in comparison to how much ink you use. I print nonstop on this thing. I'm even printing wedding invitations for friends and that sort of thing, and the ink just never runs out, and you're still always getting consistent colors, consistent sharpness, consistent contrast. It's a great machine for what you're paying.
Well, we are going to talk because I bought an ET2850 and it is absolutely horrible. I cannot get the colors right with it. I mean, I'm thinking out of the box, it should have printed pretty decent. For photos, everything is looking, kind of heavy on the blue side and light on the yellow side. And I don't know. I don't know what to do with the damn thing. It's right now it's a flatbed scanner and a document printer until I
Right.
can figure out what to do. So we'll be in touch.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know, and I don't know how different it will be from yours, but I don't know.
A few
I'm
of the
not happy
things,
with it.
a few of the things I've learned in the last year of really getting into this. Number one is the paper quality is really going to affect the quality of not just your colors, but your sharpness and all the rest of it. So it's even going from third party to first party paper. I was finding that there was a huge difference. And then you've got everything from the glossy to the matte to the presentation paper. So
I wouldn't be surprised if that's where I'm going wrong because I don't have any first party paper for it. I've been using good quality photo paper. In fact, I think it's either Canon or HP because that's all I've got right now. And I've got stuff to get rid of, right? But I might have to just bite the bullet and buy some Epson paper, I guess.
Chris, there's other considerations as well, right? I mean, you have to speak in colors that are shown on your monitor and your printer. And sometimes they don't match up if you don't have the right drivers, I guess, or something like that. Is that a big deal? I think that's one of the things I've been kind of thinking I need to dive into, or maybe I don't. Or do you just set up and print and you get what you get and you like it or you don't?
You know what? There are picture profiles and color profiles.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Download and try. I find though that with I don't know whether it's because we're on Mac OS or iOS, but the native profile that comes on all these devices is really accurate. I had a little bit of red coming through in some of my photos. Thought there was something going on there, but it just turns out that I was printing using the wrong method, and by that I mean I was exporting in the wrong format. And it actually turns out that the best way for me to print to get the most color accuracy and that sort of thing that I see on my screen is just to print right from the Photos app, believe it or not. Trying to go through all of the jumps and loops to try and export to different programs and that sort of thing just seemed to do more damage than good. So
wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Fuji Crystal
Colin
Archive.
says Fuji Crystal Archive is the best photo papers he ever used. So I don't know. I'd have to
I'm
look
making
into
notes. Yeah, thanks, Colin.
Yeah. And is it pricey, Colin? Let us know in the comments there. So, and I think you mentioned in a text, Chris, that you had an Instax printer as well.
No, but I shoot. One of the things that I love about printing is being able to shoot in pretty much any ratio. So I was doing a lot of X-pan shots and printing and then cutting using one of the cutters we have at the makerspace, and just being able to have these physical images that are coming in different sizes and different ratios, even though you see that on the screen, having them laid out. There's something that's different about it, and I don't think anybody can really figure that part of it out, but it's just being able to have that physical copy, and the colors are there's just always a little different. When we look at some of the examples, I'll be able to speak more to that.
Well, let's jump into an X-pan right now. This is your daughter,
Yep.
and it looks to me like she's practicing her iPhoneography.
This was one of the early days of her having an iPhone, and she only gets it really when we go out hiking because she loves to take photos. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
This is at a place called Dundas Valley. Was shot with the Mood camera app. Interesting one here, shooting with Mood on my screen. It looked like the grain was very heavy-handed, almost over-processed. But I thought, I'm going to print this out anyways. And the print seems to dial back a little bit of that over-processed look in terms of like the extra grain that you see on a screen and that sort of thing. And at first I thought it might be because maybe the print isn't as crisp and sharp, but there have been pictures that I've printed that have been very detailed and very sharp. So I'm not sure. It's just a different sort of aesthetic that you get on the paper versus the screen.
That's a wonderful shot.
Yeah. Because I was curious to know what how the image looked between screen and print, and it sounds like the print sure does it justice.
It's very, like, if you look at the digital version on the screen, it's just overdone. I mean, on the iPhone screen, it's fine, but as soon as you get it up I've got a studio display upstairs, and you look at it in all its glory, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, there's way too much going on here. But you print it out, even on like an 8x10, and then cut it to its dimensions, and it's just gorgeous.
Do you remember what dynamic range you shot that at?
That's a good question. I don't actually,
because I think the higher you go, the more it processes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and for Mood, I think it's calculated. I had low dynamic range on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that would be more. Wow. So maybe it was noise, or wow.
Yeah, that's cool.
Now, Chris,
really
I
cool.
will say that I've had, not necessarily for printing, but for sharing online, where the photo looks, I love the way it looks in the photos, on iOS, and then I post it to Facebook, and a combination of, maybe even though it's on my phone, but Facebook doing whatever horrible stuff it does to photography, and not supporting, for whatever reason, the full dynamic range. It just kind of gets muted and mushed and everything else. So I imagine it's kind of almost like you said, in the iOS app, which does a great job handling photos compared to, it seems like, everything else. Printing directly from the iOS app, meaning you don't have that extra step where extra processing could take place.
Perhaps
it's not taking from iOS. Do you save in HEIF, RAW, or JPEG?
I'm HEIF. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know, HEIF can be seen, but I can imagine you get a third-party printer app where, okay, we're taking HEIF, we don't know HEIF internally, so we're going to have to convert it over to what we know. And then that's an image, and then we're going to have to convert that image into the language for the printer itself. And those extra steps could cause problems versus going right from the iOS app where you're going, here it is.
Yeah, there's a lot going on between, when you have that photo on your computer or your phone and sending it off, especially if you end up going through, I have the Epson app, and I've got other apps that try to help me get a better image from the printer, but I'm finding that the Photos app seems to be the way to go. The only process that I found gave me something better, just slightly though, and it could just, be my own eyes, but going from Photomator and turning off the HDR and then printing from there, so exporting from Photomator without the HDR. And I'm not sure why that would be, if it's just maybe it looks, because with a photo or with a photograph that's printed, I find that it takes out that HDR, so it gives me something that's more natural to what I would see on the screen without the HDR there. So
Yeah.
because you can't print HDR, right?
No.
And so if the file doesn't contain HDR, then you're probably going to get more of what you're expecting, I would think.
I think HDR is just something that you see on the screen, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
At least we haven't had glowing paper yet. So, so you printed this at what size? Like 10 inches on the length?
Yes. Yeah. So 10 inches on the length, and then I've got just like a photo cutter that gives me nice straight lines, and then I usually like to print with just a little bit of a white border around it, and that's the other great thing about I find about printing photos. I mean, we can always post Instagram and that sort of thing and add borders and that and the such, but being able to print something and have it with a border or put square onto an 8x10 or whatever, and whether you choose to cut that or not is totally up to you. So it's a whole part of the creative process that you get to play around with really after you've taken the photo.
Yeah. Okay. So before we get to the next image, let me ask, and what was I going to ask? I had a question in my mind. Oh gosh. Okay, I'm gonna have to go to the next image, and then if this comes back
retirement's
to me,
rough on you, Greg.
yeah. Oh, it is. Yeah, I think maybe my brain's getting lazy.
Well, Chris, I have a quick question. For the inks that you're using to print, are they special photo inks that you're getting versus like the general inks? Because I know the general inks are ridiculous in price. I can only imagine how bad the photo inks are.
So the 8500 series for Epson is a photo centric printer. So it only takes one type of ink. The one of the reasons that I went with that model though was because it does have an extra black cartridge, or not even a cartridge. It's more of like a reservoir where it allows for deeper blacks and deeper contrast. It's almost like you've got a grayish black, and then you've got a pigment black, it's called, which really does makes a huge difference during that process.
And you typically would use OEM ink, right? I've heard horror stories of aftermarket ink.
I've only ever used the Epson ink, and after, I'm talking about like nonstop printing for that first year of having it, I was down to about a quarter. So I mean, in the reservoir.
That's
so
great.
That was the one thing I was really leery of, and it's like it just never runs out. And we use it not now just for photos, like we use it for the kids' homework, and if we need to print something, we'll just print it using the printer, and it can be a lifesaver.
Is this considered the Eco Tank?
Yeah, so it's the Eco Tank. There's the 8500, which is has a maximum print size of 8x10, and then the 8550, which is not that much more. You're talking like $100 Canadian. It gets you up to 13x19 inch, which is huge. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I see the difference when I just look at the when I looked it up online, and seeing that it doesn't take cartridges like most ink cartridges. You just kind of refill the tub of ink.
Yeah,
correct. Yeah,
like tanks.
The tank. So I can see where, like, I've used secondhand cartridges before for our home printer, and it works fine. It's good enough. And we don't really print that much, but I can see where definitely the larger tanks of ink will definitely last longer. And I can see that at least when I'm looking for the printer, one of the places that came up was Costco, and it's $700 for the printer.
Yep. Yeah, that sounds about right. It's usually about it goes on sale all the time for about $8.99. That's Canadian dollars though, so that's pretty cheap American wise.
And the Costco one includes, maybe yours, it comes just normal 4x6 pack of 50 photo sheets.
Yeah,
kind of a starter pack of photo sheets there.
Yeah, mine was it only has 4 colors, and it was on sale. It was under $400, so it's not quite the printer that you have, Chris. But still, I think it should be printing in better quality. And I think maybe the biggest culprit is the paper. I had like $100 Canon printer before, and it was a 5-color printer, and that thing printed beautifully right out of the box. So that's why I had high hopes for this thing, because it was more expensive. It had the tanks, all that stuff. But you're right about the ink usage. I mean, I don't know if it's even dropped since I've used it. I've tried a bunch of test prints and stuff, but maybe once I get the color going on, or get the right paper going through this thing, maybe I'll be printing more. But and you'd think a guy who spent 41 years in the printing industry might know a thing or two about printing, and I'm having the worst time with this thing. But
it looks like that 8550 is $750 right now in the U.S. For at Best Buy. I guess I have a question, Chris. So if let's just say you shoot in 4.3 or 4.5 or square or Xpan, do you just print and trim your paper, or do you have to let the paper or the printer know what size your photo is, or how? I guess you probably lay it out right before you print it.
Yeah, the printer that I have has 3 different feeders, so you can have 3 different sizes of paper in at a time. And then when you go to print, whether it's on iOS or Mac OS, you just select the size of paper, which you have told the printer what sizes are in those 3 feeders, and then it will choose the right paper.
And then you just trim it down to whatever you want to from there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's actually let's just recap a comment or two here. We asked Colin about the the cost of the paper he was talking about, and he says it's getting too expensive, but it's worth every penny. Now Jeff said that he has never seen an inkjet paper from Fuji, so he says it's like a wet lab paper. I don't know. I don't know what all's available for papers and whatnot. And finally, before we get to the next photo, Mike Sage just joined us. He was our guest a couple of episodes ago. He came in late. Are you directly printing from your mobile phone or from Lightroom or other software? So, Chris, you said you get pretty good results, if not the best results for you from the Photos app. But I'm assuming, would you get any different result from something like Lightroom, or do you use any of that stuff?
There was one photo specifically that I thought, I'm just going to try a whole bunch of different processes here, and ended up printing the same photo, HDR on, no HDR, from Lightroom with different quality settings, from Photomator, right from the Photos app, going through the Epson first party app. And I found that for ease of use and what I'm getting, there was no difference between printing from Lightroom versus printing from the Photos app.
And do you find that you can print from your phone as well as your computer and have the same output?
Yeah, the computer does give you more options, of course, in the dialog box, and if you fine tune it there, that's where you can add those profiles, which are not available on iOS.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So this next image it looks like it might be the same kind of photo that you had before, except it's in a square format. Is it also from Mood?
Yes, this is from Mood, and one of the reason that I chose this one is because I am a complete sucker for portrait mode. So love portrait mode. It's one of the reasons that it was getting so good that I thought, you know what, I'm going to go all in on the iPhone here. But of course, there's always sometimes just a little bit of detail around the edges that are going to show,
Hmm.
and that happens. And you print and I don't know what it is, but whether it's the lack of detail or whether it just covers it up in a different way, it's presented in a different way, but the photo still looks very crisp, and those edges don't stand out. And I haven't figured out why yet, but so another reason why I love knowing that I can have one of those portrait mode photos print and still get something nice and tack sharp, but hide some of those blemishes.
Are you
I
saying like some of
wonder.
the halos that you get
Yeah, like
sometime, or it gets confused on the bokeh a little bit?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like if especially shooting like a portrait from the side here around the
Hmm.
nose and the eyes, you might
Sure.
have a little bit of the background that's still hasn't been blurred out. So a lot of that is hidden when you print.
Yeah, I wonder if it's just, file information related, like maybe the segmentation mask within the file itself, within the data is better than what we're getting on the screen. Therefore, it maybe prints better. Like, I
Mm,
don't know. I'm just kind of grasping at straws here, but, I can't help but think that maybe that might have something to do with it. Um,
yeah.
but,
You
uh, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like I'm relatively new to this whole process. I mean, you think that a year and a half, 2 years of printing would be enough to really get, you know, well versed in it. But there's just so you can go so deep. Of course, we know with all parts of the processes of photography, and then you get to printing, you think it's just going to be hitting a button and getting a photo. But wow,
Yeah.
so it's still so much to learn. So.
Yeah, for sure. So let's go to another one here. I'm going to go back up here to this one. This is your son playing in a creek.
Yes. Yeah. So same thing. This one was one that I wanted to print because I found the HDR to be a little bit excessive in this one, especially in the back where the trees are through the water, and it looks great on a screen. But I was wondering how it was going to translate to a physical photo, and it looks great on the screen, I think, and it translated really well to paper. So you don't get those really bright greens that you see in the upper right hand corner there, which are a little bit overdone. But on paper, it tones it back quite a bit because, of course, you can't print in HDR. So um,
Mhm.
yeah.
Uh, so the reason you printed this is basically just because you wanted to see how it would look, or was there like another reason, like
Yeah,
something that you liked about the image itself, or?
Uh, I also this was during that time where I wanted to also check to see if that red hue was coming through in photos that didn't have weren't primarily red. And then beyond that, it was a photo that was somewhat important to me just because of I shoot a lot for the memories that I keep and try to
Mhm.
be as artistic as possible, but to be able to have these in the home and not behind a wall of my photos app where the kids can see themselves and they can be out in the open, and they often will sift through the albums and the photos that we have. So it's just a different way to share that with them as well.
Yeah, and that's interesting. I was at my cousin's place on the weekend, and he said he's got this great big house. It's all to himself. It's a beautiful home, and there's only a very small number of photos on the wall, and some of them are his own drawings that he did back, probably 15 years, 20 years ago. Um, but he doesn't put pictures up because he says for him the memories are in his mind, and he doesn't need to see them on the wall. So I don't know. That's kind of an interesting take on it. Um, for me, like you, Chris, I think it's better to have them printed and um, you know displayed in all their glory. I think I think that's the way to go for photography. I don't know. He's not a photographer, so maybe that's why he thinks the way he does about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best way to see how good your work is to get it on print. I mean, the print is it's either gonna show your shortcomings, or it's gonna really emphasize your brilliance in when you get a print done. You're gonna be able to see just what that picture consists of, sharpness and grain or noise or whatever. And I think I just think it's the best way to see how good your work is. And even if you just could do like a 5x7 or an 8x10, I think you'll get a pretty good idea. And I think that's a good tool for learning how to improve your work. So um, I don't know. That's
Yeah,
my take on it.
It's changed the way that I shoot, but also the way that I edit.
Hmm.
Shooting, I'm thinking about composing in terms of printing, which you'd think is the same as, when what you see on the screen is what you're going to see on paper. But being able to visualize, what size you're going to be printing this in and that sort of thing does change the perspective a little bit for me when I go out to print or to shoot. And then in terms of editing, I'm no longer looking to make my photos as like clinically perfect as possible and sharp and crisp and that sort of thing. I'm thinking more along the lines of the bunch of photo albums that I have from my parents in the crawl space, and trying to recreate that aesthetic, because it's I look at those photos and I'm flooded with memories, and some memories that I don't even remember. So it's completely changed the apps that I use, and this could be a phase, I don't know, but it's a fun phase to be going through.
And
You like the analog look as well? Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask you about before when I forgot. Now my mind is actually caught up to me here. I was going to ask you about editing. How much you edit these images before you print them? Like, do you do very much to them? Like, do you have a workflow in that regard? Like a print workflow?
I do, yeah. My workflow pre-printing was Lightroom Mobile. Always had to start with the same preset that I had created and try and make everything look very uniform and the same. Now that I'm printing, I almost feel like I'm looking for less perfect. So in Photomator, I actually very rarely use Lightroom anymore. Primarily use Photomator if I'm trying to just tweak a little bit here and there. I'll use the Photos app. I find that that's working well for me for quick edits. But to try and I'm really trying to dive back into that like 80s, 70s, 80s camera aesthetic. And I'm using an app called Lit, Liit.
Mm-hmm.
And I just find that it gives me the best recreation. It makes me believe that the picture I'm looking at, especially after it's been printed, came from my mom's Canon camera from the 80s.
Yeah, I have that one as well. Yeah.
You do?
Oh yeah.
Imagine.
Come on, Greg. You know.
The app guy.
I'm getting a new app every night from my buddy in Scotland.
Yeah. I was about to say, I'm looking at it now. And wow, 4.9 out of 5 ratings, 282 ratings. In-app purchase, it doesn't say.
It's a one-time fee. It allows you to save presets. What it offers in terms of editing tools, you still have curves, you still have all of that sort of stuff, but you also get effects that are really believable, everything from like film grain all the way to film blur. So the fact that it's a one-time fee too it blows my mind. And I know it's from the makers of one of the, I can't remember what app it is, but it's a camera app where you have like a whole bunch of retro cameras that you
Dazcam?
Dazcam, that's it. Yeah.
Dazcam.
Yeah, Dazcam's another one I have. That's really popular in that film emulation space.
When I'm looking on the computer, and I'm on the Windows computer, in the App Store for iPhone, it gives the price in, I have no idea what, it's not dollars, it's RM. So I don't know if that's
Well, for us in Canada, lit, the one-time purchase is $19.99. So that'd be like a
okay.
couple of bucks for you guys.
That's
Yeah.
Malaysia. Yeah, it looks like that's Malaysian ringgits.
Hmm.
And yeah, right now, with the and of course, who knows what they're putting it as is just, but a straight for US dollars is like $7.50.
Yeah, and lit is from Daz.
Yeah, they're part of the same team.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Oh, you'll buy it, Greg. Next time,
Probably
I know within an hour you're gonna ping me and say I bought it.
Yeah, probably. Well,
And
you know,
actually,
sorry, go ahead, Dave. Go ahead.
But say I just pulled it up on my phone here, and it looks like I downloaded it at one point because there's not a purchase. There's that cloud with the arrow thing. You can just re-download it. You already bought it. You already did it once.
Well, there you go. We've been, as you know, Chris, we've been talking about how much we kind of dislike all this heavy processing in the Apple camera. So I mean, you're yet another example of people, of a photographer that's, exploring other ways to get a different and better look from the Apple camera. So Apple, if you're listening, there's something about this. And I've heard people on in a couple of Facebook groups I'm in, I've heard people say that they're less pleased with the iPhone 17 Pro than they were with like an older phone. So, there's something to it.
Yeah, I've got all kinds of film.
Whoa, yeah.
Nomad,
Yep.
Fimo, Fios. That's a really good one. Photo Gear, Vibe Cam. Yeah, I'm too deep into this, really. But what's nice is you found one, Chris, that gives you the aesthetic that you're looking for.
Yeah, right down to even the date stamp that you'd see on those old 70s and 80s photos.
Yeah.
It looks very real, like it was developed through film, and I just love that stuff. So
Yeah.
So let's go with another one here. This was a fern, which looks pretty cool.
Yeah, this one I wanted to print because first of all, it's a really dark background. And I think in the past I would have been very hesitant to try and print this and see how much ink I would be using.
Oh, yeah.
But it's also very, very sharp at the end of the fern. And I wanted to kind of test it against the 13 by 19. And I was just shocked at how well it came out even at that size. Now the paper that I was using was it's a presentation paper, so it's got a matte finish, so I'm not expecting it to be as sharp as I would get with like a glossy, but it just looked really, really nice and in that large format as well. And it's kind of like a centerpiece in one of our rooms now. So I also find that the portrait mode is quite heavy-handed in the back there, but it seems to melt away in the print.
That's okay, but I like that, and I like the negative space with the black.
Yeah, it's interesting how that works. Like, we just a few minutes ago talked about, the effect, the portrait mode effect, and how it is different in a print. I just find it very interesting how it does change like that and can change the whole aesthetic of an image. You look at it on your screen and you're expecting to see that in print, but then when you see it differently, like, could it possibly make you plan your shot differently now that you know some of this stuff about, especially portrait mode? Like, could it possibly change, the f-stop that you use when you take the portrait mode shot?
Yeah, I'm no longer worried to like I think it defaults at 2.8 and I've got it set there and sometimes it'll go up to 5.6 or whatever. But I'm not worried to go down lower now, knowing that if I really want to separate the subject from the background, that I'm not going to in the final product see some of those blemishes.
Hmm. We haven't asked you yet. Which phone are you using?
I am 17 Pro, not Max.
Are you Club Orange?
I am Club Silver.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's going to look good all through its days, and it's not going to
I
show any blemishes.
hope so. Yeah.
It's not going to turn pink like yours, Greg.
Hey, now, mine ain't no pink. I don't clean it with ammonium or whatever the heck it was they were using.
Yeah,
But,
I miss the 16 though. I
oh
have
yeah,
for the past few years upgraded yearly, and I find that one of the things I miss about the 16 that actually prints very well too. I'm not getting any lens flares with the 17 and that color, not fringing, but like the sun flares and that sort of thing,
yeah,
which I know is probably a good thing if you're trying to shoot and avoid that. But I find that it just gives that reality to the photo that I miss a little bit. So I look back at some of my 16 Pro photos and I think, yeah, I miss that. So
yeah. You know, and you can add that back in, I guess, with an app like Lens Distortions, or things like that. So, but I think the biggest thing was the green dot that people
oh
were
yeah,
complaining about, right? You know,
yeah,
so it's still there. You
Yeah.
know, it doesn't get rid of it completely, but it's getting better. Um, and there was a time when you were able to hide it if you took a live photo and the green dot was in like an area that was mostly one color. The software was able to, and I don't know if it still does or not, but because I haven't tried it, but the software was able to actually clone it out somehow,
Mm.
or clean it up or whatever. Maybe it was a bit of the cleanup tool before it became a thing. So,
yeah,
but yeah,
yeah.
yeah, um, it's part of camera phones really in general to have that green dot, but the lens
Mhm.
flare, you know, you can get some really cool looking lens flare in the right shot, but like you say, it's getting to the point where they're trying to get rid of it on us, and you know, again, Apple don't mess it around too much. um, so this next one is let's see if I get the right button here, is one that likely wouldn't use nearly as much ink.
Yeah, I'm glad we picked this one because this actually on screen
Oh, we're
looks.
going to go through all the ones you sent me. So,
Oh, okay, sorry. um, this one in my vision looks worse on screen, much worse than it does after the print. Um, and again, I can't speak to whether this is the printer doing it or what happened here, but I remember that day, and I remember there being pink hues in the background. It was a we're getting into evening, and I couldn't see it on the screen. But after printing it, I actually edited the photo to re-add those pink hues into the background, into the sky. And after printing, it came out very almost like magenta and red. So I just removed all edits, printed again, and it was like I was looking at what I remember. So again,
Mm.
I don't know if that's a fault of the printer, but it seems to look a lot more of what I remember from that day after printing.
yeah. So you don't do any color correction really, eh? Like for her coat
No,
and
this
stuff like
is
that. Like you,
this is this is a photo that was taken and then all edits removed.
yeah.
Is that
But
mood
but
camera again?
No, this is just the camera app with
Okay.
Wow.
portrait mode on. Probably 2 times, I'm guessing, would be the
yeah,
lens
yeah.
used. Yeah.
And
But as far as the print
that's
itself
the
goes, there's no color correction.
No, so just
Right. Okay.
printed right away. Yep.
and that's portrait
Alright.
mode again.
That's portrait mode again. Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, it's interesting. And so the texture of the snow, it came out pretty good in print too. Like, was there much of a difference in what you were seeing on screen?
You know what? It came out really nice, but that's I had a picture of my son. I wish I'd sent it with an orange toucan hat, winter hat, and I printed it through Lightroom. It came out, and I could not see any detail in the orange hat. It was just orange mush.
Oh, really?
Printed it through the Epson app, same thing. Printed it from Photomator, got a little bit of details come back. Printed it from the Photos app, and again, it came out really, really nice. So I'm not sure. Yeah, no, that was all printing from my phone, not from my computer. So that could have been it, but yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, a lot of experimenting still to do, but I'm right now just if I'm printing from my phone, I'll print straight from the Photos app.
Oh yeah. Well, this is definitely a lot of food for thought. You know, everything from the paper we use to the app we use to print from. So yeah, very interesting. And I think this is the final one here, and this is a nice landscape shot. So I'm really curious to see how this one turned out.
Yeah, so
This here anyway.
yeah, this one was one of the first prints that I printed on the 13 by 19 just to see how it would turn out. Now I did have to edit this quite a bit because I took it in the summertime, even though this is up in the middle of nowhere, Ontario. There was still a lot of haze, so I brought back some of the contrast and that sort of thing. But I was hesitant to print it on 13 by 19, never having done it, thinking that it was going to just be a mess. And I was very relieved to see that it came out so contrasty and not over sharpened, but just turned out to be a better looking print than photo on my computer.
Yeah. So you did 16 by 19, and there was absolutely no sign of it being, too large for the file or anything.
It didn't break up, and this was shot again just with the camera app, 12 megapixel. Nothing. Actually, no. This was 24 megapixel.
Okay.
So I know that we've got some more megapixels to leverage now, but I don't know if that's again, not being an expert printer, I don't know if that's the be all end all. I think you also have to have a picture that's got enough data behind it to not break up when you're editing and then printing. So
yeah. Okay, so what would be the biggest print that you've done? Would that be it? 16 by 9 or 13 by 19?
13 by 19 is the biggest that I've done. I haven't gone. I'd have to go to like a photo store to get something larger done.
Right.
And I'm just happy with the size is big enough for what we've, for what I'm looking to do, and the fact that I can do it at home and play around with settings. And it's been a very small fraction of my journey in terms of iPhoneography, but print has been very rewarding, and it's also been just something that I continue to want to learn about.
Yeah.
Chris, real quick. Oh, sorry, Greg.
Yeah, go ahead.
For clarification, 13 by 19 being centimeters, correct?
Inches.
Okay.
You did the conversion for us, Dave.
Well, no, I was trying to make sure, because I know people in Canada, they sometimes use metric, sometimes they use imperial. It depends. So I could see 13 by 19 centimeters, because it would not be a big print, but it'd be a nice size print, versus 13 by 19 print, 13 by 19 inches, which is rather substantial.
It's huge. I've got the pack here, and
it's like a poster board.
It's very, very, very large.
Ooh.
So yeah. So it looks small on the screen, but it's quite heavy.
Yeah. Chris, I hope there's no silly questions here. I may have one. Yeah. What is the file that you normally print in? Is it usually a JPEG or a hike, or let's say you took a pro raw photo and you're like, wow, this is perfect, I don't have to do anything to it. can you print just right from ProRAW?
You could print right from the Photos app if you've got it saved as a Pro RAW file, but I find that everything gets exported as JPEG. So
Yeah.
I'm not
when you
sure
export it, unless you export it as the original
right.
format.
Yeah. And I'm not sure.
If you've got an image open
Mhm.
and it's a Pro RAW and you hit print,
It doesn't give you options to choose which file format from
Right,
the
so
Photos app.
So ProRAW
gonna
will print
do-
fine. It'll print just as nicely as a JPEG or a HEIC file or whatever. Okay.
yeah, because I think iOS and Mac OS and iPad OS, I think all the operating systems by Apple are smart enough now, since they've tried to make hike or HEIF or whatever you want to call it mainstream. I think they're doing so much better at automatically converting it to whatever the source needs, right, to print. So if you've got a Pro RAW file open, and Jeff, so Jeff says Pro RAW is the profile, but the image is a DNG. And yes, that's correct. So Jeff, if you can throw in the comments here, so Chris, if you caught the last show, you'll know Jeff was an Apple employee at one of the Apple stores down there. And so my question is if you've got a Pro RAW file open, it somehow iOS will, or Mac OS or whatever, will see where you're trying to send the file, make the proper conversion that it needs, and then just automatically do it. And it does it so quick under the hood that we don't even realize it's happening. Would that be a fair statement, Jeff? Just throw that in the comments there. But because I think
the
that's
printer would probably see it as a DNG file. I think Lightroom is the only one that picks it up as a Pro RAW profile, if I'm not mistaken.
no. But when you send the print command, though, I'm thinking that it would have to convert it probably to like a JPEG in order to print it.
Yeah,
like
that was
the
kind of my
printer,
original question. Yeah.
So when you if you were to put a Pro RAW file onto an SD card, what would be the file name that it would show?
It would be DNG, and then it may have the JPEG attached with it, depending on how you shot it, I guess, and what app you use. Because if you use an app that shoots JPEG and RAW, it'll probably give you both, I would imagine. But yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a rabbit hole to go down as far as these file types and stuff go. But I wonder if saving an image out as a TIFF, especially if you're going to go to a big print size, would not be maybe a better way to go.
There's more information, right? In theory.
Yeah. And it's basically it's mostly uncompressed, I guess. I keep hearing that TIFFs are uncompressed images, but I mean, they have to be compressed, I think, to a certain point. But yeah, I would think TIFF might be the way. I mean, if you want a really good quality print, if you're looking for something big, make it, export it as a TIFF file. Now this one on the wall behind me, it was a JPEG, I think. So we got an answer from Jeff. Either the app or the printer has to convert the image. All images in iOS are a P3 color space. Either the app or the printer converts P3 to Argo or Adobe RGB. Yeah, so that's interesting. And it could happen in either iOS or, like either the app or the printer. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes on under the hood that, and thanks, Jeff, for that. There's a lot of stuff that goes under the hood, that we don't even know about. Most printers want sRGB. Some printers will accept Adobe RGB. Yeah, Adobe RGB is the bigger color space. I mean, your screen won't show you the difference between an sRGB and an Adobe RGB. That comes down to printing. Oh, he meant sRGB when he said Argo. So that's interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
I'd be really interested now. Of course, I'll probably after the show go and start
Rabbit hole.
exporting and printing different file types, just because that's what we do.
yeah.
And,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, say Greg,
go
when
ahead.
when he posted Argo versus Adobe, so I went in and just started to, try to do a little quick research, and it came up. It didn't come up as Argo, it just came up as sRGB. So
Oh, okay.
apparently Google was smart enough to know that Argo meant sRGB. I don't know how it figured that out, because it's not even like your hand moved over a key and you type things in, but yeah. So there's tons of information between those two, and what to take better. And you figure printers now are mini computers, with the processing that's done on the printer. So it's not just a matter of everything's done on the computer. It throws it off to a dumb printer, and the printer just prints out. It converts it to a particular file, throws it to the printer. The printer then takes that file, converts it into its own print command, so it knows this much ink here and this much ink here, and combine this here and combine this here and do this. And so it's so deep. It's amazing how quick it is, in terms of when you hit print. You go to your Photos app, you hit print, you got the printer there, you hit the button, and especially wirelessly, you just hit it and it just goes, with all the computation that has to happen behind the scenes. Especially, we no longer have to worry generally about, oh, I need the newest printer driver for this printer with this computer setup. It's so much easier now, where it's okay. Yeah, the drivers are pretty universal, especially for something like iOS.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just amazing how much happens, so instantly and so fast. Jeff says the screens are calibrated for P3 color space. Yeah, and I'm assuming he's talking Apple screens, which they are. And the general topic comes under the heading of color management. Yeah, that is a big rabbit hole to go down.
And I think that's probably the main reason why I haven't gotten into this. I went and shot archery for the first time last weekend, and I thought it was simply shooting a bow and arrow. Oh no, there's a rabbit hole there too, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm really interested in this space, and Chris, thank you so much for your participation here, because now you got me fired up.
Yeah, well, I was hoping to come at it from like a hobbyist perspective, and
Sure.
and sometimes it's nice to just dive into something and learn as you go, and that's what I've done, and it's a joy.
That's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Well, I think most of our listening audience and viewers on YouTube are hobbyists. I don't think, unless they're a professional photographer with a mirrorless or a DSLR camera, but their iPhone use I'll be 99.9% guaranteed it'll be from the hobbyist standpoint. So I think this was a great way to introduce this topic of printing. Well, we've talked about printing a little bit now and again, but I don't think we've ever devoted a whole show to it. So this has been fantastic, and I want to print more too now. now that we've been talking about it, but I think I'm going to have to go online and see where I can get some actual Epson paper, because the stuff I've got here, I've got a lot of it, that I've bought over the years from my prior printers, and I think I'm just going to have to get rid of it because it's not doing any good. So I'll start with that someday. I'll start with the right paper and see how the color looks and all that stuff, and then go from there. But I really appreciate you coming on, Chris. This has been a wonderful discussion. It's good to actually talk to you now. Is there any place where we could see your work online? I know you've got an Instagram, and we've got that in the show notes.
Yeah, I've got an Instagram account in Cook, but now that I'm printing, I'm so rarely on social media.
Yeah.
It's almost funny. I'll go on there to, every once in a while just to look and maybe post a photo once a month. But
Yeah.
yeah, things have really changed in terms of the evolution of my journey with photography. So
Okay, before we go, I just thought of something. Have you ever done or considered creating a photo book?
I have created a photo book. So right now, in terms of how I manage my photos, I'm using iCloud Photos for just the entire thing. I used to have everything in Adobe, but I've switched away from that now. And then love making photo books, and it's a great hobby to do if you've got family and kids and that sort of thing, because they love to, it's kind of like crafting, but they also get to see pictures of themselves. And then I think in terms of memories, beyond the Photos app, I really am loving the Apple Journal and just being able to house my photos there. So that's pretty much where I'm at with my management of my photos.
Yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned Apple Journal. I've been on day one for 5 years, another journaling app.
Yep.
And I tried to migrate over to Apple Journal, but it won't take everything from day one. And I tried doing both of them at the same time, and I just gave up. But yeah, Apple Journal's nice.
Yep.
Yeah. I said to myself, I'm going to journal more this year using that app, and I've probably done about 3 entries.
It's good to do because once you go a year, you can look back on the same day what happened a year ago. And I'm finding that I'm 5 years into it now, so I have on this day 5 years back. And what's really interesting is I'm finding patterns of maybe what we had for dinner on the same day a year ago and 2 years ago. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's cool.
And with the suggested entries, it's just so easy now. You can, what was the most recent thing that I did? Or you can even go back years and look at photos from your library, and it'll suggest things from around that time. So yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, I think we got ourselves a show. Again, Chris, thank you so much for coming on, and we'll definitely have to have you on again sometime in the future.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's been a great conversation, and I hope that the people listening or watching on YouTube, I hope this kind of sparks your interest in maybe printing more, because, there's a couple of things. A photo is not a photo until you print it, and you're gonna see what your work is like better in a print than you would on screen. So, I guess on that note, and stick around, Chris. But on that note, I guess
we
we'll
want
end the live stream now.
we want another guest, right, Greg? We want volunteers.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Don't hesitate to contact us.
Yeah.
Whether it's through my website or through through email, on Facebook, Instagram, and any of the socials that you see listed in our show notes for us. Get a hold of us, and if you want to come on, we'll plan something and we'll make it happen.
Or even if you know someone that you think
Yeah.
would be good to have on, voluntold them.
Yes,
That's right. Love it. We'll hold them to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right. Well, thanks again, guys. And thanks for watching on YouTube. And we appreciate everybody for listening and watching and following the show. And I guess we'll see you all in the next one.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a great one, everyone.
Bye.